I'm live. Hello, hello, hello. It's Dr. G. Today, I wanted to talk with you about the 5 lessons I learned creating the podcasting course that got created this year and is now pumping out some amazing shows. The students have been fantastic. I just want to take a quick moment to plug the shows that have been released so far. So far we have Pivot and Bloom. So please go ahead and if you listen to podcasts, check out Pivot and Bloom and subscribe, share it, leave a positive comment. Show Dr. Camila some love. She would greatly appreciate it, and her stuff is pure fire. And then in about a week is going to be the release of Patti Perez's show, and she has a show called The Drama-Free Workplace, and the show is going to be off the chain. She does some deep dives into some very difficult conversations, and it's just going to be pure fire. So you have to check out both of those shows, subscribe to them, leave a positive comment, share them, give them some great amount of stars, give them 5 stars, because I appreciate you. Thank you for doing that. All right, so you came here, or you're here, to actually hear the lessons I learned. I have to tell you that when I got started thinking about doing this course, I had no clue about how to even create a course. I had never done that on this kind of scale before, and so it was a huge fear factor involved for me. And I was challenged by a good friend of mine, who is Dr. Maisha Taylor. I'm sorry, not Dr. Maisha, who is, I'm thinking about Maisha Taylor, it's so crazy. But Dr. Maisha Claiborne is who challenged me. Dr. Maisha Taylor is awesome as well, but she did not challenge me to get the course started. So I just wanted to clarify that. So she challenged me and she said, you know what, you're answering all these questions about podcasting. Why don't you just go ahead and put together a course so that a lot of people can essentially benefit, and it would condense things, put it in one place, and it would allow for, a greater benefit to occur versus answering all these questions kind of piecemeal. So I took up on a challenge and I did the course. So the first round of the course has come to an end, and the shows are now being put out. So I just mentioned to you 2 of the shows. So Pivot and Bloom and The Drama-Free Workplace with Patti Perez. So those are the 2 that are currently out. We have several that are coming up that are going to be released very shortly. So Dr. Babalola's show is coming out soon as well. So look out for that. So lots of fire coming out of this course. I mean, these women have been absolutely amazing. So there you go. So that was the whole impetus behind it. Never did a thing, didn't know what I was doing. Basically, lots of fear involved. But you know what? I have a tendency to, whenever I see something that I'm afraid of and it's not physical danger to myself, I'm just like, all right, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? I could fall flat on my face. Yeah, but I would also learn a lot from doing that. So I decided that, let's go for it. So the first lesson is essentially that. Ready or not. And so I am definitely not someone who is paralyzed by analysis. And sometimes that may be a downfall for me because I tend to try things. So particularly in my business, like I will just try something. If I see something and it looks like it might work for me, I'll go ahead and try it. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, then, oh, well, I learned something from that. I learned that that's not something that's a great fit for me. I also may have learned that, that's something that I can refer to somebody else or tell somebody else about in the future. So every single situation for me is like, just try it and just see what happens. It can go well or it cannot go well, but it'll always be a growth experience. And so ready or not essentially is, not being afraid or not being crippled by overanalyzing things before taking the step. So there are so many people that talk about this, and the concept is just start ugly. Just put it out there, and then you can cultivate, you can hone as you go along. It doesn't have to be perfect in order for it to be out there, and in order for it to benefit the people you are trying to reach. So that is huge. So no analysis paralysis. That's going to be key for major growth. Number 2 is connections, connections, connections. So in trying to promote the course, I kind of fell into like a little bit of a stumbling block because I wasn't quite sure. I knew the people that were asking me questions, and there were a lot of people asking me questions about podcasting, but I really didn't know who was actually willing to commit to, number 1, commit to a course, and then number 2, commit to paying for a course where they're going to be given all of the tools and given coaching in order to have a show at the end and have an end product that is amazing. And so, that forced me to tap into the people that I knew. So where do I know people? Where do you know people? You're doing a course. Where do you know people? You know people in your social networks, right? So on Facebook or Instagram or wherever you live for social media. So you know people there. You know people in your contact list. So you know people in your Rolodex, we used to say. We don't say that anymore, but you know people who are in your phone. And so you just can go through and literally, hit them up. And then here's the beautiful thing. You hit them up and you say, hey, I have this course coming out. What do you think? Are you interested? Do you know anybody? Who's interested? That right there is platinum, because the referrals are the best. And I have to tell you that when you have someone who knows that what you're doing and they understand the heart behind it, and they know that you're awesome because you're giving and you're having an abundance mindset, then what they'll do is they'll tell it to their networks. And it's like a exponential effect that happens. And so you want to utilize connections, connections, connections. Don't think that you're going to be able to promote this thing in a vacuum. So that's the big thing. Social media, use your contacts and ask for referrals. Oh my, okay, this one, oh my gosh, the process. And so it blows my mind, because now we're doing a new project and I'm like thinking about how the process behind this thing, it blows my mind how the process actually works. Because as the creator, you're in your mind, you're thinking, okay, it's this step, this step, this step, and you're creating the thing and you're putting out what you think is going to be valuable content. And you're thinking what you think that the person who's taking the course is going to need, and what kind of stumbling blocks they're going to come across. And honestly, no matter how well prepared you are in that regard, there's always something that you did not expect. And I am so grateful for this amazing group of women that went through the course, because they have shown me so many ways, so many steps along the process where things could be streamlined, or things can be more clear, or, it pushed me to make videos about certain things that I hadn't thought about making videos about before. And so it's amazing. You have to actually put yourself in the shoes of the end user and then set up your process based on that. So not thinking the level of the expert or the person who has the expertise, which is where you are, but really thinking about the person who's at the very beginning, who's just learning, right? So keep it simple. Think about the process. Think about each and every step, and that will set you up to win. So that was one thing I learned. Learned that one kind of the hard way, but it's all good because it's all growth. Okay, so number 4 is money. Okay, and so money is basically, how are you going to get paid for this? How is the cash or the currency going to come from your student or your participant to you? Now, there's a ton of ways. There are a ton of ways. Let me speak better English. There are a ton of ways in which this can happen, but most people will utilize PayPal, for example. PayPal's fine. You can utilize PayPal. All right. And so most people have access to PayPal. They are familiar with PayPal, so that is a modality through which you can do it. Now, for me, I utilize my website because I want to try to house as many items as possible on my actual website, because I have a paranoia that perhaps, Facebook's going to go away at some point and all my content is going to go with Facebook. And I don't wish that to happen. So I house everything on my website. And so PayPal's fine, but it doesn't work as well with a plugin called WooCommerce, which is what, if you have a WordPress website, WooCommerce is a lot of times what you'll end up using in order to create transactions on your site. And so I did that, and I used Stripe as the payment option. So Stripe is another one that you can use. You can do all the things with Stripe. You can develop an invoice. You can have, all the things involved, and then Stripe will, essentially send that money from your client to your bank account. So what's better, right? So money, money, money. That is how you can get paid. Those are two options. Okay, so you can decide that there's a ton of other options, but those are the two that are kind of popular, I would say. And I told you the reason why I chose Stripe. Okay, and then the last lesson is, how are you going to get everybody together? How are you going to get interaction to happen with the participants in the course? So the best way to do this is obviously having some kind of mastermind, right? Where the participants can toss ideas, amongst each other, brainstorm, come up with great thoughts on a topic, or, crowdsource an opinion, whatever. I mean, all the things that you'd want to have in an interactive class setting, so that people can build bonds with each other, and so that they can learn from each other, and so that you can learn from the group as well, because the teacher is always going to be the student no matter what, right? You're just a little bit further ahead than the student, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to be learning a lot during the process, which that's just how it is. So one way in which you can do this is actually starting a Facebook group, which is what I did for this class. Is we have a Facebook group, and it's been great because in the Facebook group, I can go in there, could do live videos, we can have discussions, we can do polls, we can put up our logos and say, hey, what do you think about this? We can put up our show art. Hey, what do you think about this? Tell me what you think about these names. I mean, it's great, fantastic, great way. And then the other option is, so Facebook groups is one option of getting together as the class with the students. And the next one is Mighty Networks. This is another platform which you can do kind of group work. Now, there are some limitations to Mighty Networks. One positive that I think people like is the fact that it's not Facebook. So it's an entity of itself, in and of itself. There's no distractionary is not enough word. There's no distraction of the feed kind of, and the pinging, the notifications that can distract you from being present in a group when you're on Facebook. And so it doesn't have that. So that's an advantage. The other thing is that it is a way where, everything is basically compiled and is there. And again, not on a platform that is owned by somebody else. Well, yeah, it kind of is, but you know what I mean? Not on the social platform that's owned by somebody else. And it's potentially at risk of being swiped away at any moment at that person's discretion. Now, the disadvantage, however, is that you're not able to do live video like you are in a Facebook group, which is really cool because, then you're able to do some interaction, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas Mighty Networks, you have to upload a video or you have to upload a file, and it's all kind of text back and forth. So, you weigh what you think about that and how it applies to your people, and boom, you have it. So these are the 5 things that I learned, and I've learned so much more, but I only have time to share with you 5. So I'm going to go over them again. So the first one is ready or not. So that's basically, don't suffer from analysis paralysis. If you have a project or you have something a burning passion that you want to get out into the world, just do it. Okay. Don't just sit on it. Don't just be on a fear fence. Just do it. Start ugly. Connections is the second one. And that is utilizing and leveraging your connections. So your Rolodex Rolodex, your phone, your contacts on your social media networks. You ask for referrals from friends. I mean, you definitely got to do it. And then 3 is the process. So thinking like you are the end user, what are going to be the steps? You're just beginning, you're just learning. And how are you going to go through the whole system and get what you need at the end, right? And then 4 was money. So how are you going to get paid? How are you going to get paid? I'm sorry, I got to take a drink. How are you going to get paid? Are you going to use Stripe? Are you going to use some other entity, or are you going to use PayPal? How are you going to do the transaction of currency between yourself and your client? And then last but not least is getting together. So how are you going to bring everybody together so that you create a culture of togetherness and cooperative, collaborative kind of culture? And how are you going to do that? You can do either Facebook groups or you can use Mighty Networks. And I kind of went through the pluses and minuses of both. Okay. All right. So that was a lot squeezed into 15 minutes. But I wanted to get that out there because it was on my heart and I was thinking about that today. And I figured somebody could benefit from the lessons that I learned doing this course. Okay. Starting when I wasn't ready, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So if you are interested in learning more about what I learned, I am more than happy to share a little document that I put together talking about some other lessons that I've learned. Just hit me up. You know how to reach me. Just hit me up as a DM or private message, and I'm happy to share that with you. Otherwise, I hope that you have a fantastic day. I have to go to work tonight, so I'm going to be going and taking my nap so I can get ready to go to work and serve my people, my patients. All right, so this is Dr. G, and I hope that you will be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness.